on the Toretsk front, Ukrainian forces have observed a decrease in heavy equipment activity from Russian troops. Instead, there has been the use of small infantry groups employing light vehicles, including ATVs and motorcycles. This was reported by Sergeant Ficha of the 12th Azov Brigade. Thanks to the tremendous efforts of the Ukrainian Defense Forces, after nearly a year of assault operations, the enemy has still not achieved its goal of capturing Toretsk. The city has held, is holding, and will continue to hold. Instead, the enemy has set its sights on capturing the settlements of Kostiantynivka and Pokrovsk as a result of the summer offensive. These directions remain the toughest along the entire line of contact. Building on the experience from the Bakhmut campaign and successes on the Avdiivka front, the enemy aims to encircle the city and avoid costly battles for themselves. But I assure you, we are doing everything to bleed our enemy dry, halt their offensive capabilities, and force them to abandon their ambitious plans, says Sergeant Ficha of the 12th Azov Brigade. The sergeant also noted that assaults are carried out by small groups of up to 3 Russian soldiers, who are successfully eliminated by the Ukrainian forces. You know, when the existence of your state and the survival of your nation are at stake, people who ask why and for what disappear. We are all exactly where we need to be. We are doing what we must do. We know why we stand here, and we still stand here as long as necessary, he added. Recall, after heavy fighting, Russian forces from the 8th Combined Arms Army redeployed this spring from near Kurakov to the Toretsk metropolitan area, have broken through Ukrainian lines to both the west and east of Toretsk. The 8th Army's 150th Guards Motor Rifle Division managed to break through along the Nelipivka-Diliivka axes, but only after repelling multiple counterattacks, during which Ukrainian forces twice reached central Toretsk. The division has now almost reached the eastern edge of the Kleban-Biksik reservoir, putting Ukrainians' northern supply route at risk. However, the Kryvyi Torets River still separates Russian forces from the reservoir.
Former Russian Transport Minister Roman Starovoyt has been found dead in his car with a gunshot wound, investigators have confirmed. Starovoyt was dismissed hours earlier by order of President Vladimir Putin after Ukrainian drone strikes disrupted air traffic in Russia. Svetlana Petrenko, a spokeswoman for Russia's investigative committee, said on July 7 that Starovoyt's body was found in his personal car in the Odintsovo district of the Moscow region. She stressed that the main possibility was suicide. Putin appointed Starovoyt's deputy and former governor of the Kursk region, Andrei Nikitin, as interim transport minister. While Russian officials have not linked Starovoyt's dismissal to the aviation crisis, analysts say the timing raises some questions about potential scapegoating. Russia's transport ministry said on July 6 that up to 400 flights across the country had been cancelled. 171 flights were cancelled at Sheremetyevo Airport in Moscow and 90 flights were cancelled at Pulkovo in St. Petersburg, with delays exceeding 2 hours due to Ukrainian drones. This was met with displeasure in the Kremlin. The Russian Defense Ministry said last night that 91 Ukrainian drones were shot down. On July 7, Russian forces launched strikes on Ukraine. Ukraine announced that 75 of 101 Russian drones had been shot down. According to the Shot Telegram channel, a gun was found near Roman Starovoyt's body. MASH writes that Starovoyt shot himself with a prize gun he received from the leadership of the Ministry of Internal Affairs in 2023. His body was found in his house in the village of Myakonino. According to preliminary information, Starovoyt's suicide may be related to a possible criminal case. Sources say that the former head of the Kursk region, Alexei Smirnov, who previously worked as his deputy, testified against Roman Starovoyt, the Baza Telegram channel wrote. The Kommersant newspaper also wrote, citing its source, that the defendants in the case of the theft of at least 1 billion rubles allocated for the construction of protective structures on the border with Ukraine have testified against Starovoyt, and it is alleged that Smirnov, the former governor of the Kursk region, is among them. Andrei Kartopolov, head of the State Duma Defense Committee, confirmed the information about the former minister's death to RTVA, saying it happened a very long time ago. Russian President Vladimir Putin dismissed Starovoyt from his post as Minister of Transport on the morning of July 7. Starovoyt had held this post since May 2024. Before that, he was the governor of the Kursk region. The reason for his dismissal was not disclosed. Ukraine's drone attacks caused major chaos in Russian air traffic over the weekend. The largest airports serving Moscow and St. Petersburg were among those forced to limit activities on Sunday. Airlines lost about 20 billion rubles or $253.7 million due to the collapse of air traffic on July 5 to 6 due to Ukrainian drone attacks. The costs of canceling flights in the first 24 hours at 3 airports are estimated at 4 to 6 billion rubles. This is reported by the Kommersant newspaper. As of 1800 hours on July 6, more than 537 flights have been cancelled at Sheremetyevo, Pulkovo and Strogino airports, and over 376 have been delayed by more than 2 hours. It is noted that the airline loses from 15 to 23 million rubles from the cancellation of one flight of a Boeing 737-800 aircraft in a 2-class layout. This amount includes the costs of airport services at average rates, crew work and fuel. Thus, in the first day, the cancellation of flights at 3 airports cost the companies 3.9 to 5.9 billion rubles. It is specified that, on average, the amount of additional costs for airlines due to widespread disruptions to flight schedules in Russia per day could reach 20 billion rubles. Earlier it was reported that air traffic between Moscow and St. Petersburg could be restricted again. Pulkovo Airport introduced a carpet regime for the reception and release of civil aircraft. Due to restrictions on the operation of airports in central Russia, more than 500 flights were postponed or cancelled. The largest number of cancellations and delays occurred at Sheremetyevo Airport, about 200 flights. About 100 flights were postponed or cancelled at Pulkovo. About 50 flights were postponed at Vnukovo, and about 30 flights were postponed in Sochi. Passengers were recommended to travel by train as an alternative. Moscow Mayor Sergei Sobyanin said 6 Ukrainian drones were shot down as they approached the capital, but he did not provide details on possible damage. The governor of the Belgorod region, Vyacheslav Gladkov, said Ukrainian drones injured 2 civilians near the border area. The Ukrainian attacks followed several major bombings by Russian forces in Kiev, which killed at least 2 people and injured dozens more.